I had 10 uncles. They all do landscaping, which is kind of funny. And my dad would take me out to work on the weekends because I obviously go to school. And they would take me out, teach me a bit about landscaping because that's a future my dad wanted for me. And they'll teach me here and there and every weekend, and I'll earn about 20 to $50. I started back in middle school when I was like 11 years old. Many of our clients saw it like child abuse. Um, but my dad, he had a goal in mind. And yeah, I started doing that on the weekends all through high school. I would work Friday through Sunday. Um, and my dad back in the day, he would only do it on the weekends as well, because he was a heavy machine operator for about 20 years, and landscape was his side business. It got to a point where we needed more money to sustain our family, and he started doing landscape full time. But since English is not one of his main languages, he would struggle a lot doing contracts, communicating with clients, and we were not getting the results we wanted. So as soon as I graduated from high school, that's when I stepped in and I kind of took over sales. I, I I used different sources to really operate the company and to start getting the results we wanted. And from there, I'll share a bit more on that. But that's pretty much how it started in the landscape business.
And when you're like 11 years old and you're going out to these jobs, what was your viewpoint like at that time, at that age? Were you excited? Were you feeling like, hey, I'm making some money, I'm learning some stuff? Or did it feel like you were getting drug along?
Honestly, I felt confused, but I really like the money side of it because I was I had money to buy snacks. I had money to buy clothes, so I was the richest friend of out of my friend group. So that really that really motivated me to go and work on the weekends. Hmm.
And so you graduate high school and immediately just take over your dad's business. Like, I guess during that whole progression, like from 11 to 17 or 18, did you know like this is going to be my next step after high school? Was college in the cards, or did you absolutely knew like I'm going to take this landscaping business to the moon?
That's kind of funny. So I graduated high school. I wanted to be a police officer and eventually be part of the SWAT team. I would do internships for the Denver police here in Colorado. I would visit jails all the time. Like that's what I wanted to do. Um, I went to college for 2 years. I ended dropping out because I got in trouble. So and it didn't qualify me as the I wasn't qualified to be a police officer. I was a dumb kid back when back when I was 17 and 18. Um, at that point, when I said, "Well, so I don't have another option," um, so I dropped out from college, and I just took over the business. And from what I knew, I started working again as a laborer, and then so I started doing the labor work again. After that, it got to a point where I'm like, it's so much work, uh, so many hours, because we work like 10, 12 hours under the sun, and it's heavy work. Like then wheelbarrows are like 300 pounds. I was like 120 pounds right after high school, which is double. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do this. So I started learning the numbers, and I started learning how to communicate with clients. And after that, so I learned the business aspect of our landscape company.
And I'm not sure if you would remember any real specifics, but as maybe as close as you can or ballpark, do you have any idea like how many people were working for this business, how much money it was bringing in, just kind of like what was the size of it at that point when you first started joining after, going to college and coming back?
Yeah, yeah. So at that point, my dad only had like two workers, and we were not getting enough money. Like I would say, profit wise per month was about anywhere from 5 to 10,000, and which is not a lot because we were doing like at least 10 projects per month. So the profit wasn't there for the same reason that he wasn't able to communicate properly with clients. He still was learning the numbers because even though he knew how to do uh, the landscape, he didn't know how to give out a quote still. And um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
So there's a lot of people out there, I mean, that listen to our show, my friends, just people in general who are in like service-based businesses, whether they're doing landscaping or they're an electrician or a plumber. And I was hoping maybe you could dive into some of the specifics in like what the company was doing wrong when you joined. Because I know we're going to get to that part of the story where you've kind of just like 10x like what's been going on with that landscaping company. But I think a lot of people in other industries who are also in service-based industries can glean a lot of insights off of like how your mind kind of attacked the problems in the business.
So, like I said, we were not getting the results we wanted. There was a lot of setbacks. One of them was so one of our first clients. I think it was the second client my dad had. He ended up he took some money from us, and that really like was an eye opener for my dad. He's like, "Do I really want to do this? Do I can go back to the company I was working with?" And from there, we just started analyzing what we needed to fix because we lost a lot of money on that second deal. Um, Sorry.
All good. Yeah, I was just asking like what parts of the business you saw that you're like, okay, this needs to be improved like a lot.
So one of the things that we needed to improve a lot was communication. Also, the contracts because we didn't have a contract. We didn't have a paper. My dad will. So he's Hispanic. And they're huge on whatever you say, it's gonna be done. But obviously, we need a contract when we're dealing with money. Um, that was one of the biggest things. Another thing was marketing. We did not market at all. That's why we were not getting many clients. Um, we were not known. I mean, our work was beautiful, but no one knew about us, and that was one of the biggest issues. I think marketing.
And once you got started and actually started making changes, what's the first thing you remember as far as a change that had a big impact that you're like, whoa, okay, like this makes a real difference?
So I work in new builds, so new build homes, and me and my partner Diego, we started doing door hangers because with new build homes they give you about 6 to 12 months to complete your backyard. It's obviously a brand new home, but it doesn't come with the backyard. And we started doing door hangers just to market our business, just to show clients who we are and the type of services we offered. And we would just drop them off indoors. Before COVID, I still had people knocking on doors, just showing who we are and the services we had to offer. But after COVID, people started working at home, which made it really inconvenient for them to always open the door. They would always get upset when we used to door knock. But when we started doing door hangers, that's when we saw the game changer because they don't have an option. Like they need their backyard done, and we're over here offering the different services we have. So they either schedule an appointment with us and just listen what we had to offer, or they would just recommend us with different people.
So when you're talking about like getting a backyard done, I'm definitely no landscaping expert. Some people might think like, oh, landscaping, that's just like mowing and weed whacking, but there's a whole lot more to landscaping than that. And there's just like, monumental projects that take months. What are some of the most common types of projects for listeners out there who maybe just aren't as familiar with the business model?
That's right. So it's a blank sheet when you buy a brand new home here in Colorado, and I'm pretty sure in any other states, when you buy a new build home, It's a bank sheet, so you usually install anywhere from sod to rock installation, mulch. In terms of hardscape, is usually a concrete patio, a paver patio, retaining walls, depending on the grade. Um, you need an irrigation system. You need everything has to be new because you really don't have anything. It's just a bunch of dirt, and just you build from the bottom.
You mentioned earlier that when you first started looking at it, there wasn't enough profit going on, even though you had some jobs. There just wasn't a ton of profit. And then you just mentioned a lot of different type of projects that you could do. Which one of those projects kind of is the best bang for your buck from your perspective? Like which one, or sorry, I'll already say that because it's not really bang for your buck. Which one of those projects for you has the most profit margin?
Okay, so we're specialized in concrete, and we essentially do landscape for fun. um, so I think concrete gives us the most profit, and anything in hardscape. So paver patios, retaining walls, fire pits. They get really pricey just because the material is really, really expensive. Um, but I would say if concrete or hardscape gives us the most profit.
And in terms of like increasing LTV, customer lifetime value, did you kind of change around maybe some of the marketing tactics? Like you're like, well, if you're building this retaining wall, like you got to have this irrigation system, you got to have this concrete patio. Because I know, like I've been upsold in some of that stuff, and I'm like, well, yeah, this makes perfect sense. And then it was kind of a win-win on both sides of the equation. So wondering if any of those different marketing tactics or like upsell type of things went into the new strategy once you started taking over.
Definitely. So I would go in. So most of my clients, they're really specific on what they want. They're usually they'll ask me for certain things, and based on what they ask me for, is if it's either landscape, I would I'll always recommend to do the landscape and a concrete patio or a concrete sidewalk. Um, Usually when it talks about in, when they need landscape, I always throw in the concrete for the same reason, because it gets me a lot more profit. Um, because in these new built homes, you always need some type of pathway, even though you're doing a whole renovation of the backyard. Uh, so I'm always throwing in that concrete, just to get a bit more profit.
And some of those projects sound like something maybe you get done once, and that's kind of it. Like you don't need a fire pit added every couple months. But
That's
do you
right.
have something? Do you have something that you offer that is kind of more like a reoccurring thing? And do you have any customers that you get signed up for a longer term contract where they're kind of signed up for, hey, we're going to come every quarter and do this? So that way you don't have to keep selling, but you've got that same customer who just keeps generating revenue for you.
That's right. So we also do have a maintenance crew. We do mowing, which is the first thing people think about when you mentioned landscape. We do maintenance on your backyard, which is mowing. Now that fall and winter are around the corner, we do sprinkler blowouts, and just simple weeding. That's something that um, we really focus on on giving clients so that they could keep on calling us.
And I know you mentioned door hangers. That was kind of like one of your aha moments. Like you started throwing those up, you started getting a ton of calls. People were like, "Oh, like what's this all about?" I haven't even thought about doing this, and now you're getting all these leads. Were there any other like lead generation tactics or just marketing in general that you tried and that worked? And I guess on the flip side, we can maybe talk about ones that you tried and that failed as well.
Yeah, so I tried Google. It didn't work out as much because I was getting clients that had existing backyards, and it's a lot harder because you have grown trees with roots. You have to cut the trees, so you work double in existing backyards that are much older than new builds, and that really pushed me back a lot because we would on a new build project we usually take 2 to 4 days to finish, and I'm talking about 2 to 5,000 square feet on average. And if I work on a project that there's an existing backyard, um, same square footage, it will take me about anywhere from 5 to 8 days,
Mm.
which it takes much longer to complete the project, which I'm obviously losing on opportunities that I could, because on average I finish about 2 to 3 projects per week. Those are for new builds, and if I do projects that already have an existing backyard, I'll do 1 or 2 per week. So Google really didn't work out. Um, like I said, the most effective thing was door hangers because homeowners don't have an option. They either finish their their backyard in that timeline that timeline that HOA gives you, or they start getting fees.
Mm.
So, hmm
It seems like to me certain industries just kind of comes with the territory that there's going to be maybe a little bit of negotiation where some industries there's not. It's just the price is what it is. Do you
that's
run
right.
into that a lot where with these services it's a lot of back and forth between the person who's you're trying to sell to and you have to do some negotiation, or do you have like kind of flat rates?
So right now in Colorado, there's obviously a boom, a marketing boom. Like there's a bunch of houses being built left and right. So there's more companies, more landscape companies being built. Um, so there's some times where I have to negotiate my prices just to get the contract. Because back in the day, I would give an estimate. I would give a contract out, and it was me competing against 2 or 3 other companies. And in the recent months, and then in the past year, I mean, I had to compete against anywhere from 5 to 15 contractors, which makes it a lot harder to get the actual contract. So sometimes I really do have to negotiate the price, and we do volume. So we do anywhere from like 60 to 150 projects a year. Um, so on the long run, I'm getting the profit I want. So I do have to negotiate my prices.
So it sounds like you've built up like a pretty decent brand reputation in Colorado. Was there anything you specifically did, whether it was like enticing people to refer you to their friends or getting reviews on Google or getting reviews on some other platform? Were there some strategic things that you did to kind of like build up your brand equity?
So well, I usually ask for reviews, but most of my clients are older, so they don't have social media or they're not active on Google, which it makes it really hard on them. I usually just try to make a relationship with my clients, try to connect with them as much as possible. Um, and that has really opened up doors for me because uh, most of the client for some reason everyone tells me their problems. I don't know why. I'm that type of person, and I'm just there to listen, and I usually try to just make him make my client's life a bit easier when I'm completing a project, or make make their mood change. Or I'm just that type of person where I'm just trying to impact the person by smiling, or just bringing in that exciting mood all the time. And that really has worked out with me, just creating a relationship with my clients.
Talked a little bit earlier about how much the competition keeps increasing. What do you think it is that you're doing that maybe the other landscaping teams aren't doing that kind of sets you apart?
That's right. So whenever I get a contract, I ask for a zero down payment, which many contractors wouldn't agree with that. But I just want to build trust between me and the client, and I just go off by that zero down payment. You could pay me as you see progress, but I have so much capital saved that we could invest in the material, we could invest in the labor, and I could complete several jobs at a time. Um, but I do that so the client feels a lot comfortable with me, because what contractors are doing are they take about 50% or 75% deposit. They either do 2 3 days of work, and some contractors are being really unfair, and they take the money and they just ghost the client, and that's really unfair for the homeowner. So I had to change it up, and that zero down payment gives the client a lot more confidence on our company.
And has that burned you at all, or has it worked out most times?
Honestly, it has only backfired once,
Wow.
where we completed the yeah. So I usually do a so our contracts really help out. I also pre-lean the client's home, so everything's signed, everything's written down, so it makes it really easy on me. But that one time it backfired on me, and I was not a I didn't have much experience. So the if you guys let me, I could share this bad experience.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
um, so his name is John. Sorry, John, if you're hearing. But it really sucked on me. So he had to sell the house because he was going through a divorce with his wife, and in order for him to sell the house, he had to complete his backyard. That was one of the requirements the HOA had for him. A completed backyard. If not, the HOA would not permit for him to sell the house. So I go in there. He's like, "Dude, I don't have no money. I'm gonna sell the house and I'm gonna pay you for the landscape you're gonna do for me. But I need the landscape to be done in 10 days. If not, I'm not gonna be be able to sell the house to these new buyers." So I go in there. We finish within that timeline. It's like the new buyers are gonna close 2 weeks from now, and I trusted him. It's like the buyers. He kept me alert of everything that was going on. And 2 days before the buyers were gonna close on the house, he completed ghosted me. He stopped replying to calls and text messages, and I'm like, probably something happened with his work. I always try to see the good side on people. That's another problem I have. But people, not everyone has that good heart. Yeah, so he completely stopped answering calls and messages. The buyers closed on the house. They didn't know that I had completed the landscape, so they obviously didn't pay me. Um, and John did not alert the new buyers that there was still some unpaid bills on the house, and he moved to another state, and he changed his number and everything. So it made it really difficult for me to like go after him because he moved to Washington. So I just took that L, and that's pretty much it. It's been one occasion of out of 300 plus projects.
Is that before you added in the language that puts a lien on the house?
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I kind of want to jump. I kind of want to jump into the numbers here, and we definitely have an audience who's interested in numbers. I know the figures you gave us before. You guys were making like 5 to 10K profits. This is like right when you took over, right when you dropped out of college. Do you have this like a? It doesn't have to be exact numbers, but just like loose numbers of like the next couple of years after that. Like, what did revenue and profit start to look like once you started kind of like smoothing out the operations and the marketing and just working your magic?
That's right. So once I stepped in, um, profits were not the best still. But with the few changes on marketing, contracts, the way we communicated with clients, we started seeing from 20 to 50,000 a month. That's when I just started. At the point I'm at right now, we're at $250,000 a month per sales. Profit wise, is about 100 to 150,000 per month.
Wow.
So yeah, it's over the 1 million mark a year.
And during that time, like, what about the head count? Like, how many people were on the team kind of when you're getting started, and how many more people do you have now?
So during that time when I stepped in, we grew to five employees. Right now, we have 6 employees that focus on landscape, hardscape, and the construction of concrete. And I have another six employees that focus on just concrete finishing. So it's a total of 12 people. Um, And yeah, my dad, it's kind of funny. He's a project manager, and many of my clients make fun of me because they're like, "You boss around your dad." I'm like, "Well, he wasn't able to make a system that works, so I had to step in." And yeah, I do boss around my dad, but he's my best friend. I like working with him.
Hey, I'm sure he's very appreciative of what you've done. You've gone from 5 to 10 grand a month, and you're like, yeah, profits didn't increase too much. It just went from 20 to 50K a month, and now you guys are doing 250K a month in sales. How
That's
has
right.
pricing changed over that time? Like, has pricing remained the same, and you've just been like adding so much volume, or as you started to establish more brand equity, have you been like slowly raising your rates and charging clients more per job?
That's right. As we established more our name, we started increasing because we charge by the square foot. So the first year, everything went up by like a dollar or two. When I stepped in, um, right now because the price changed with COVID on materials, um, we had to go up to like $8 increase per square foot, um, just just to get the profit we want, and just to pay the materials and the labor. But one of the biggest price didn't go up as much when I stepped in and before COVID. But after COVID, that's when we really had to change our numbers just to get the profit we wanted.
In any business, you're going to have that target audience for the most part. Like you're not going to try to do work for every single type of house, every size house. It sounds like you're trying to focus on new builds mostly because it's better for you there, more profit, quicker
That's
turnaround.
what.
What about the types of houses? Are you trying to focus on only houses that have this size backyard, or is there any kind of criteria you're trying to use to qualify if it's a project you should take in the first place?
Honestly, I take any new build project, and I usually like smaller square footage homes, which are like 900 to like 2,000 square feet. Because we go in there, we finish the project, start to finish in 1 to 2 days, whereas these bigger homes, anywhere from like 5,000 to 8,000 square feet, would take like 3 to 5 days. So the smaller the project, the bigger the profit.
And so I feel like a key part of your growth and this strategy, I mean, if you were a solo dude just doing landscaping, like there's no way you could possibly scale to where you're at now. So hiring the right people, like retaining the right people, training, how does that whole process work? Like, how do you find the right talent for your company?
That's right. So we have a lot of friends. My dad is from Durango, Mexico, and he knows a lot of people over there because he's such a sweetheart. Um, he has he's built a lot of relationships over the years, and most of the people we have working for us are friends of my dad. Um, and we treat him good. We try to, because it's really hard work. We try to pay them the amount of money they ask for us. And another thing that has been working out this year is smaller projects that I'm not able to take. My workers usually do them on Sundays, so it works as an incentive for them, and they stay more motivated because they get extra money. So that's something that's been working out.
So like kind of thinking about it from the other side of the coin, like the homeowner who's looking to get a job done, is there certain jobs you'd recommend? Like, hey, these are ones you should definitely hire someone out. Like it's worth the money versus ones that, maybe if you're kind of handy, it's fine to just do yourself.
Honestly, I would recommend any landscape job, like landscape installation. You go in there, you install rock, mulch, grass, which is really simple. Like anyone could do it. Like literally anyone. Like there's there's not there's not much practice that goes into it. Like if you do it 1 or 2 times, you'll get the hang of it. Um, that's another reason why we keep on. Like this year, we got a few more workers, and it only took them about a month for them to get the hang of it. And there's good money for them. Good money in like landscape installation, and like anyone could learn it real quick.
Awesome. Well, before we start talking about real estate a bit, because before we hit record, you were just sharing some insane stats. Is there anything else to add about growing a service-based business like you've done? Like any last things that we maybe missed or didn't talk about when it comes to either marketing or hiring the right people or scaling or pricing or negotiating, anything at all that comes to mind? Because I'm sure that we have listeners out there who they could probably start to implement whatever tips you're sharing in this episode in their business, like in the next couple weeks.
That's right. One main thing I have for like any listener out there, just be confident with your numbers. Because many contractors I have spoke in the past, they usually try to negotiate their numbers or try to break things down to please the client. But just go in there and be confident with the work you have, to offer to clients, and confident with your numbers. Usually, most recently in the past few months, I've been landing six-figure contracts, anywhere from 100,000 to like 250,000 in landscape, and it's quite crazy because it's just rock installation, mulch installation, grass, a water feature, pavers, or concrete. And even my dad at times he's like, "You're probably exaggerating in your numbers." But I'm like, no, it's more of the value we have to give out to homeowners. So just be confident with the work you have to offer to them, and be confident on the number. Because if that's what um, your company's worth, people are gonna listen to you, and they're gonna end up paying for it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think, people doing jobs like that, it's oftentimes knowing your worth and being confident to stand behind it and not feel like, maybe I was wrong, and talking yourself down. So I think that's a great point. But like Cody said, before we hit record, you started mentioning some great progress you've been making outside of just doing the business that you've, completely turned around. Now you started moving into real estate. Don't know if you want to kind of tell us a little bit about that.
That's right. So landscaping concrete has been working out for me. I started saving some capital because I knew I wasn't, and it's still on my plan. I know I'm not going to be doing landscaping concrete for a long time because there's a lot of stress going on with dealing with competing with contracts. So I started saving money because real estate is something that I always wanted to do since I was a young kid because I wanted to own rental properties. Um, my dad had like rental properties in Mexico, which really inspired me. And I met Cody back in May at a mastermind in Vegas, and I had zero experience in real estate. I was just there to get a bit more knowledge on what real estate was, how to start investing on real estate, and I connected with some people that were from Colorado. They were already real estate investors. They had a few flips under their belt. Um, and they were the only guys from Colorado in that whole mastermind met. And so we quickly connected. And I came back to Colorado. They invited me to their office, and they really liked the system I had for my landscaping concrete company. And they invited me to like look into this real estate business. Uh, we went into a flip together. It all worked out, and since then we have six flips since May, and it's quite amazing because I had zero experience. I just knew the numbers. I had the capital to invest. I had a lot of some subcontractors that could do the work, and I just went for it.
Dude, that's absolutely insane. You're kind of just like, oh yeah, you've done a flip a month since May. Like, we're recording this in October. That is absolutely insane, but awesome. So how does it work? Like, are you just contributing capital? Is your team like the ones finishing backyards and stuff like that? Or like, how do you kind of fit into the equation with the flips?
So I'm doing a little bit of everything now. I'm contributing capital. My teams are doing the landscape portion of it, but I also over that period of time since I met you, Cody, until now, I was able to build a remodeling team because my dad has a lot of friends, like I mentioned. He knows painters, framers, um, everything. So I was able to build a team, which made it a lot more easy. And these guys, they were getting a lot of deals per month, like 10 to 15 deals that we could take up. We just needed the capital and a team that was able to perform and do the remodeling. So quickly, with the connections we had, I was able to build a team and just start remodeling all these homes that needed some upgrades.
And could you talk us through a little bit of what some of these deals look like, the type of house that you're getting into, maybe, how much you were having to invest, the turnaround time, just any of the details with the deals?
So our market here in Colorado is quite crazy. Homes range anywhere from 450,000 to 750,000. Most of these homes need anywhere from 60 to 120,000 in renovation, and we try to focus on profits of 60,000 and up. Because if it's not 60,000 and up, we don't get profit because it's three of us. Um, and so yeah, the turnaround on most of these homes is anywhere from 3 to 6 months. But we've been lucky enough where we're doing a subject to on homes where we we actually got one here before before this interview. So we negotiated with the client where she keeps her mortgage. We come in with we're gonna need about 120,000 to renovate her home. We bought it at 635, 120,000 to renovate, and we're gonna sell anywhere from 850,000 to 890,000. But since we have several teams remodeling, because I have my own team and my business partners have two separate other teams, which makes the renovation a lot quicker. Um, so the timeline on those are anywhere from 2 to 4 months. But the deals, I work with them from May to October. Were the turnarounds were anywhere from 1 to 2 months, which made it really easy for me, and the profit was a lot quicker.
I think when we talked last time, Irvin, when we met at the Future Flipper Mastermind, I think you mentioned Airbnb, if I'm not mistaken. Is that still part of the game plan?
That's right. So that Airbnb we talked about, we're launching it next month because we did a complete remodel on it, um, just to attract more people to it. So we completely renovated the whole interior, brand new roof, and we added a couple things, amenities, so people would rent it out a bit more. We added a jacuzzi, an outdoor kitchen, and we're launching it next month.
Awesome.
And I know this one might be a tough one because you didn't have to do this, but your dad had so many connections. You're finding all these people. Do you have any recommendations for someone who's wanting to get something started, whether it be getting into flipping or some help renovating an Airbnb? Just like how to source people who are skilled but are also not charging insane amounts so that there is some room for profit.
That's right. So which it makes it really easy on my part because I'm Hispanic, I'm Mexican myself, and in my experience, we do a lot of good work as Mexicans, and our labor price is really cheap. Um, so try to look for the Hispanic community if you want good work and if you want a reasonable price for you to get more profit. That's a recommendation I would have. And you know, a challenge people would have is just learning Spanish. Um, but you need just the basics on um, what you need to start the project and the things you will need throughout the process. But just focus on the Hispanic community because personally, on my experience, we do really good work and the prices are really cheap at times.
Sounds like I'll keep up with my Duolingo. I'm on a
That's right.
350-day streak. So I guess what's kind of next for you, Irvin? So you have the landscaping business going on. You started this flipping business. You're going into Airbnbs. I know you mentioned you wanted to get out of the landscaping business at some point because it's just a lot of stress. Like you're negotiating contracts, you're competing against other companies. What do you kind of see in the next couple of years? Like you're going to go all into real estate? You're going to continue to grow the landscaping business? What are your plans for the next 3 to 5 years?
That's right. So in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm planning on just focusing on real estate. Whatever I do landscape wise, I'm gonna just keep on. I don't know if I mentioned it. I wholesale landscape contracts as well.
Oh
So,
no, that's cool. Can we touch
so
on that real quick?
yeah, definitely. So, so it's a crew of 12, which we can't take all the contracts I get. So what I'm doing, since I already have 10 uncles and people that I know that do landscape, is I'm wholesaling this contract landscape projects, and I just take a profit from whatever I sell to them. Um, and I'm obviously not selling to like any random person because it's still my brand, it's still my name out there. They work under me. I give them the project, and I get a profit from a split from the profit they get. So whatever contract I get and I'm not able to do between the April through November timeline, I just give it to someone else. Um, they do the work, I get a profit, and that's pretty much it.
And you've talked about like some of your systems and things like that before. If you're doing that, if you're subcontracting out to one of these other groups, like you said, they're kind of still under your umbrella in a way, like under your brand. Are they having to do anything different than they would normally do? Like, is there any kind of agreement, like, hey, we got to do things this way if you're going to take a contract from me?
That's right. Well, the funny thing about me is that everything's in-house. The only thing I really subcontract is the gas line installation. Um, that's pretty much it. But whenever I hand out a project to another contractor, it's still my rules. It's because they're working under my name, so it's really easy to negotiate with them because they're my friends, they're my family members, um, and it's worked out in the past so much that they're comfortable working under the conditions that's set for them.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. Well, we are rounding out the episode here. We're just about finishing up. Where are some of the best? Where are some of the best places where people can follow along, stay in touch? I'm sure we're going to have a ton of people who are going to have a lot of awesome takeaways. I just want to really appreciate that and hoping they can have a place to send them to.
That's right. So my you guys could follow me on Instagram or Facebook, where you could find us under AGR Landscaping Construction. Like I said, we're not that big in Instagram because many of my clients are older. They don't know what Instagram or Facebook is. And I haven't been active as much because it's been such a crazy year, but you could find us there. I'll also give you the link to our website. So whoever's interested in learning about landscape or has any type of questions on whatever this landscape business is, you could contact me through there.
Well, Irvin, thank you so much for giving us some time today. I mean, it's an incredible story, and it's awesome to hear how humble you are, and also just like how you not only changed your life, but you changed your family's life. So it's very commendable. I appreciate you giving us the time today, and I'm excited for the listeners to get to hear your story.
I appreciate you guys having me in the podcast. It's my first time in a podcast, which it's kind of nerve wracking, but thank you a lot, Cody. Thank you, Justin. Hopefully, I'm able to motivate some people out there. Just keep on pushing, keep on working hard, and if you guys have a vision clear, you'll be able to make it. I'm first generation in my family. My parents are really proud of me. um, um, they're immigrants in this country, which made it really hard for them. And I just had to step in. I had to step in and change change um change everything for my family and create generational wealth.
Well, you're a true inspiration, man, and really appreciate having you on.